Hey guys, it's Sydney. Welcome back to my channel. Today is time for one of my personal favorite videos to film, my monthly movies. So these are all of the movies that I saw in the month of March. I saw a ton of movies this month, so I'm gonna try and hit the points quickly and let you know what I thought about them and move on, and hopefully I can get this done in a reasonable amount of time. So the first movie that I watched this month was The Grand Budapest Hotel, and I'm not going to talk about this one for too long since it is a movie that has been out for a pretty long time, but it is a Wes Anderson movie. So I had seen this movie before a few years back, but watching it again I really felt like I was watching it for the first time. Wes Anderson is a great storyteller and his stories are very intricate and complex, so giving them a rewatch is something that you won't regret. You'll definitely catch a bunch of stuff that you missed the first time, and I would definitely recommend rewatching his movies, especially if you did like them the first time. So a great movie, really bizarre. If you've never seen a Wes Anderson film before, you probably will think that it is crazy, but the more you watch them, the more you kind of understand his art form and his storytelling techniques and how he does things, but definitely a little bit out there. Now, speaking of out there, it's like not even out there compared to what I'm about to talk about. I watched La Danza de Realidad, and I'm saying that like I'm a crazy person. It's The Dance of Reality. It is a movie by Alejandro Jodorowsky, and it is a magical realism movie about his childhood. Now, this movie is out there. And if you do not like art films, you should not watch this. For example, his mother speaks only in opera the entire movie, just because that's her character. So this was an incredible film to watch. It is not a background film. It is not necessarily a feel-good film, but it is a really interesting movie to watch. Alejandro Jodorowsky is a director who does a lot of film like this. He was going to be making a version of Dune a while ago. It ended up not being made, and then they actually made a movie about how he tried to make it called Jodorowsky's Dune. So The Dance of Reality is definitely an interesting movie, and if you can get your hands on it at some point and you are looking for a kind of art film almost really to watch, then I would definitely recommend it. But it's just a bizarre, out there movie. It's not something that you just like throw on a Friday night, although we probably did that. The next movie that I watched kind of in preparation for Oscar season was The Three Billboards, and Three Billboards was directed by Martin McDonagh, who is also a playwright, and when I was looking him up I realized that he wrote the play Pillowman. It's a play that I like randomly read in college. Pillowman is a weird, scary play, and you should definitely read it because it's a play, so you can read it in like 30 minutes. So it's directed by Martin McDonagh, and it's starring Frances McDormand, who won Best Actress for her performance here, and Sam Rockwell, who also won an Academy Award for his supporting actor. It has a bunch of other great actors in it, including Woody Harrelson and Peter Dinklage, who is one of my personal favorite actors because I'm obsessed with Game of Thrones. And I think that he is amazing in every single role he's ever been in. So Three Billboards is a story about a woman who is frustrated with the inaction of her local police in solving her daughter's murder case. So she rents out these 3 billboards for an entire year that put up a message about her daughter and about why hasn't it been solved, kind of blaming the police, and then everything kind of goes crazy from there. This is, again, not a feel-good movie. It is a very intense drama, and it's exactly the kind of movie that seems to get made specifically for Academy Awards. But I'm definitely glad that I watched it because it is an incredible film, and everybody in the film does a really great performance. The next movie that I watched was Red Sparrow, and this was a movie I was really excited about because I actually really like Jennifer Lawrence, and I know that there's some conflicting views about her online, but hey, there's conflicting views about everything online. We're both 5'10", so that makes me happy that she's tall, and then I like laugh at people when they're like, yeah, she's like a big girl, and I'm like, yeah, she's like tall. Oh my god, people are crazy. Anyway, so Red Sparrow was directed by Francis Lawrence, no relation to Jennifer Lawrence, but he also directed the Hunger Games Catching Fire and Hunger Games Mockingjay Parts 1 and 2. And so they kind of paired up again to work with each other. And it is the story of a Russian ballerina who, after suffering an injury, is kind of trying to get back on her feet again. Not literally, but haha. And she goes to her uncle to kind of ask for some help, and her uncle sets her up in a kind of shady situation, and she ends up needing to kind of get drafted for I want to say spy school. That just sounds so much like happier and cooler than where she's actually sent. She gets recruited to this kind of spy program, and this is a very vulgar movie. There's a lot of content that could be very problematic for people who have triggers to sexual violence and non-consensual relations. So if that is something that you know that you personally have a trigger for, stay away from this movie. There is a lot of it. It is not a sparkly spy movie that glamorizes it. It really kind of does the opposite. I think Jennifer Lawrence did an incredible job in her role, and it's definitely one of those movies where you just keep going back and forth. Definitely keeps you on your feet, but it is incredibly gory. Ugh, just thinking about a scene from it and it's making me heebie-jeebie. It's incredibly gory and there's a lot of sexual violence, but honestly, I actually really did like it. I wouldn't read into the Russian accent thing too much. You know, she does a great job or whatever. Like, people can calm down. So the next movie that I saw, I believe this is the next movie I saw. It's possible that I saw another one in between that I can't remember. But anyway, I went to go see A Wrinkle in Time, and this is a children's book that I loved as a kid. And I actually think I reread it a couple years ago because I'm still a kid, turns out. This was a case of Disney taking a story that already existed and turning it into this massive sparkly movie. And they did this with Cinderella, with the Sleeping Beauty movie, I think it was just called Maleficent, Into the Woods, Beauty and the Beast. All of these movies I've went to go see, and I have the same exact issue with every single one of them, which is that they have a lot of sparkle and a lot of glam and glitz, and then their soul is like completely empty. And it hurts my heart because these are stories that I love. It just seems to fall a little bit short every single time. I don't know why it is that their children's movies that are animated have so much heart to them, and then you just cry the whole movie because they're just so beautiful. And then their live action films just are like totally like deadpan. What's going on there? It was directed by Ava DuVernay, and it was starring Oprah Winfrey and Reese Witherspoon and Mindy Kaling as these kind of like all-seeing kind of goddess type characters. And then the little girl is played by Storm Reid, and I will say that she did an incredible job. If anyone in the movie was like spot on, doing great, Storm Reid was right there, like holding the whole film together. If she hadn't been there doing that, it would have just been like no soul whatsoever. So it wasn't as bad of a movie as I anticipated it to be, basically because of Storm Reid. She was really good. They get these like really incredible actors that like they know how to act. So like, why are they being directed in this weird way? Even Ava DuVernay is an amazing director. So I don't understand like why it gets dumbed down to have such little soul to it. Like, we want that in our films. We really like that, actually. So, you know, give us that as well as the cool costumes and the glam. Yeah, I don't understand why we can't have both. Okay, so then I had this like middle of the week crisis where we watched two movies that put me into such like a fit of anger. So the movie that sent me into such a frenzy of anger was The Room, which is a movie. It is written, directed, and starring Tommy Wiseau, who is a man who is an unknown age. He is from unknown origins. He wanted to be an actor, so he made a movie, and they spent $6 million on it. It's so cringy. So The Room has a huge cult following at this point because it is like the worst movie that's ever been made and publicized so intensely. They have like midnight showings of it. People like watch it and laugh at it. I did not find it like enjoyably bad. I think we stopped at like half an hour from the end because I was like couldn't breathe and was so angry watching this movie that I just had to turn it off. I can't explain to you how bad it is because everything about it is the worst movie that's ever been made. And I know that you may think that I'm exaggerating, but you just need to, at some point, look up a scene from The Room on YouTube. It doesn't matter what scene it is because they are all equally terrible. They are all equally unrelated and random. This guy, Tommy, who just plays himself. I mean, he has a character name, but like, he's so difficult to watch. And the reason that we watched this movie that was so bad was because we really wanted to watch The Disaster Artist, which is a movie by James Franco. And The Disaster Artist is about the making of The Room. And so I couldn't really watch The Disaster Artist until we had seen The Room. So it's directed by James Franco. It's also starring James Franco and Dave Franco, his younger brother. And James Franco does incredible in this movie. I actually am really surprised that he wasn't nominated for Best Actor in this because he is fantastic. Got an amazing cast. It's basically like everybody that's in like Knocked Up or 40-Year-Old Virgin, like that whole cast of people. And it's just like the craziest movie because it's about the making of this movie that is so bad and why it's so bad and the insanity that was happening on set. And oh my gosh, I would definitely recommend watching The Disaster Artist, but if you can like help yourself to not have to watch The Room, I would do that. Like, nobody has time for that in their life, to watch something that's just so incredibly bad that you just, I'm still mad thinking about it, actually. So I watched those two, like one right after the other in the middle of the week. Now, if you're not interested in going down like a weird cult film rabbit hole, you can stay away from it. So I have 2 movies left for you guys. The second to last movie that I saw was another film by Wes Anderson, and it is The Isle of Dogs. So this is in theaters now. It had a limited release, so it's not in theaters everywhere, and it was actually kind of difficult for me to find a theater that was playing it. And it is a stop-motion film by Wes Anderson, very similar to the Fantastic Mr. Fox movie that he put out a while ago. Another amazing children's book. Oh my god, you have to read that to your kids. And so it was written and directed by Wes Anderson, and it is a stop-motion film. It is an incredible stop-motion film. The puppets are insane. The sets that they've created, the amount of like action-packed stuff, like storyline that goes into it, like they are not playing around. I think that they must have been working on this film for a very, very long time because stop motion, as most people know, is not a very fast art form, and they did not shy away from like action and stuff. I mean, there's like a 3-second sumo wrestler scene with the most incredible puppets I have ever seen because they're like full skin. You know, normally if you have clothing on a puppet, you can kind of disguise some of its joints. It is really cool because all of the characters in the film speak their own language. So it is set in Japan, and most of the characters just speak Japanese because they are Japanese. And then there is a foreign exchange student that speaks English. There are several translators that kind of literally translate what is being said by the mayor or different people that are speaking in different media, and then they say at the beginning of the movie that all barks have been translated into English, which is really cute, so all of the dogs speak English, but everyone else speaks Japanese. This movie is very, very story-packed. Wes Anderson really likes to incorporate many different types of storytelling into his film, so you get actual footage of the characters doing things, then you get a little like map of where they're going, and you get a newspaper article saying what happened. He's very visual, and he's going to incorporate as many different tactics into telling the story as he can, which can make this story a little bit hard to follow because it's jumping all over the place, and there's just like a ton of stuff happening. This is a really enjoyable movie. I do feel like I need to see it maybe 5 more times to catch everything, but it is great. It is not a children's movie. It's rated PG-13 because of violent images, which I would totally agree with. You know your kids best, so take them to it if they're really interested in it and they can handle that kind of thing, but otherwise I would, you know, just go see it on your own. It's a really beautiful movie. And speaking of beautiful things, the last movie that I saw is Love, Simon, and this movie made me really happy. This is a teen romance. It's totally one of those like Hollywood movies that are like, hey, I'm a normal kid, and they're like in this mansion and he's just been gifted a fancy car as like a high school student, where it's like, oh, you're so normal and like nobody lives like that and everybody in Hollywood thinks that that's what people live like, so that's like the normal that you see everywhere. But I actually feel like that was really helpful for this storyline. In having this teen comedy be very normal, other than the fact that the main character is gay, I think normalizes that. I mean, it's 2018, like why do we not have more movies like this? I feel like it was kind of one of the first movies of its kind in that way. He doesn't really have any reason to not come out other than that he just isn't ready yet. And I think that that's really powerful, that his parents are very supportive, his friends are all very engaged and happy and loving of one another. It's a story about him kind of wanting to wait to come out and not really knowing when he's going to, and this kind of online relationship that he ends up having with another closeted gay kid at the same high school as his. I love that it touches on this kind of cyber relationships that are so much more common nowadays, that I feel like a lot of movies are kind of ignoring. This idea that you can fall in love with someone just from chatting with them online. I think that that's really beautiful and really important to talk about, because it's going to continue to be more normal as our lives continue to be more like cyber oriented. I do think that it was a really cute movie, and that it actually could turn into one of those like cult movies like of your childhood, you know, like I feel like my generation, we had Mean Girls, and like that was like our movie, and like everybody kind of growing up like had watched Mean Girls and really liked it. I kind of feel like this has potential to be one of those movies, but what do I know? I'm not a teenager, and I don't know, whatever. But it was really good. I liked it. So those are all the movies that I watched in March. I do really enjoy making these types of videos. I have a lot of fun kind of thinking about all the movies that I saw in the past month, and I do actually see a lot of movies, so I feel like it is fun for me to kind of share them with you as well. So thank you guys so much again for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you did like it. Make sure you comment below if you have seen any of these movies and what you thought about them. And if you're not subscribed to me already, go ahead and click the subscribe button if you want to, and you can be in touch with me when I put out more videos in the future. So thank you guys so much again, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.